So we get to have all of you here to go over expectations and thoughts and ideas around activities that your students get to be a part of, which is an exciting thing. So I'm going to make you think for a second to start off our meeting tonight. I want you to think of a lesson that you can recall that helped you or a skill you learned from some activity that you had in high school. So parents, you're thinking about this on your own right now in your head. What is something that you learned from an activity you were in high school? Let me give you a little bit of time to think about that. All right, now I want you to share it with a student that's around you. If yours isn't sitting by you, share it with somebody around you. What is a skill or a lesson you learned from an activity you had in high school?
I would say being dedicated to like whatever you're in takes a lot of time. There you go. Bam, time to go on.
All right, let's bring it back together. Now, there are a ton, right? The list could go on. Time management might have been one. Finding ways to keep getting better at something. Having a goal with a group of people and trying to reach it. The internal ability to handle pressure, right? Whether it's maybe a free throw, whether it's playing a solo in the band. You know, there's different activities or things we do all the time that help with that. Learning how to take risks. And then that personal responsibility about our individual performance and how it impacts ourselves, but also the people around us. The list can go on and on. And that's what we're here tonight for, is to think about those activities that really are an extension of our classrooms and how we can continue to build our young people to grow into amazing people for our community. So we're excited for tonight. Thank you again for understanding the importance of being here to work together as a team to support our students in this 2019-20 school year. And now I have the opportunity to introduce Mr. Holzmer as our high school activities director for the first year in this role. He has impacted so many students in our district in years past with being a teacher here in our district, but also coaching 3 different sports throughout the years. And we're very pleased and excited to have him in this leadership role to teach us a lot of things and to lead us forward here at Cuba City High School. So please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Holzmer.
Thanks, Mrs. Olson. Welcome back to all of you, especially our incoming freshmen and the families associated with them. Certainly pleased to have everybody here to get started, and that certainly marks the start of this school year. As a community, we have many things to be proud of. Think of some of the memories maybe that you just went through, the different traditions that maybe we have. There's a lot of things that associate this community with ours. Ultimately, those things are rooted in the people who have created them. And that's certainly where we collectively take our place. We have an opportunity to find those things, and working together with our communication and efforts is where it all starts. I want to open tonight with a particular consideration. It is something that I've heard many coaches talk about to their teams, to their players. I've heard it spoken about at clinics, conferences, read about it in different forms of literature, and it's the consideration of what is your role? Where do you fit in? This applies to many areas of life, whether it's home, work, community, clubs we're involved in, what we volunteer to do, and certainly the teams that we're on. Our role isn't always obvious. Sometimes it comes to us at unexpected times. They weren't planned. We often hear credit given to success that occurred because certain individuals maintained their role or knew what that role was and fulfilled it. It's often defined because we recognize where we fit. Sometimes that's tougher to identify for, especially to us when we're younger. Some of us rely on others to direct us in those roles and those responsibilities. Most of us find that your roles change as you develop skills and earn experience. So I want you as students, parents, coaches, to think about this upcoming year and what your role is going to be. Where do you fit in? If you're not sure, think about who are the people that are going to help you to find it. And that all starts here today with the goals that you want to achieve. If you haven't defined those yet. And there are some people here that will help you get there, or maybe even just get started. One of the most prominent posters you see in schools and rec facilities nowadays states a few things pretty clearly. Coaches coach, players play, officials officiate, fans cheer and support. Those are pretty definitive roles. And while those lines are blurred often, we have to be cognizant of that and know where we fit in and what our role is for success. We work to provide the best opportunities for our students, whether it's in the classroom, contest, or in competition. So please think about what your role is and help out in the most positive way you can. That way we can all work to achieve the same goals. Try to move through the agenda quickly tonight. I know it's warm in here, but before you leave, please make sure that we've answered any questions that you may have. This is an opportunity that doesn't happen often with so many people in place to answer those questions all together. So please make sure that if you have a question, ask. If you're not sure who it should be directed at, check with myself or anybody who can help you get in the right lane. Before we get going, as I mentioned, if you didn't get through registration at the tables tonight, please make sure you do so before you go. Outside in the lower hallway, we have a sign-in sheet for athletes, students, for parents. We do need to make sure that we have a signature from a student and at least one parent before you go. That gives you credit for being here, and that is something that is dependent on your participation. So please make sure that you get those signatures on those sheets. We'll have them either on the stage or out in the hallway at the end tonight. We've got to recognize just a few people that are up in front of you tonight. You've met Mrs. Olson and myself. Julie Kaiser and Pam Tranel are over there working the table. They've been in charge of most of the paperwork and all the money that needs to be turned in. They're located in the high school office and are available most all times, and they can always help you out. And if they're not sure what the answer is, they'll point you in the correct direction. So please utilize them. They are very, very helpful. Also tonight, and you do have registration also open during business hours, Pam, this week before school gets started. So if they don't get things taken care of, they can stop in anytime. Generally from 7 to 3, there's somebody in there. Stop in and take advantage of that. Mr. Olson, our superintendent, he'll be making some closing remarks tonight. And then we're very fortunate here in Cuba City, as Mrs. Olson stated, we have some great people helping out, and we're very appreciative of that. We have coaching staffs that are very knowledgeable. They're very passionate. They put in countless hours. We have some infinite experience, and they're people that genuinely care about our athletes. We're very, very fortunate here in our district for that. We'll start on this end. We'll have our head coaches that are here. Some were not able to attend tonight. We'll have them introduce themselves and just mention which sport that they're with, affiliated with, and then anything else they may want to share. I'm going to start with Coach Pettigrew down there. He's a little under the weather today, so he's going to keep close. All of our coaches are very deserving of a round of applause. We're going to save it until we get down to the end down here. So we'll start down there.
Kathy Lindenberg, girls golf.
Craigton R wrestling, all around boys and girls cross country. Guy Cop football.
Carrie Lawson, volleyball. Tracy's. Tracy Seven, athletic trainer. Tammy Wooden, wellness coordinator.
Steve Graver baseball.
John Stearns, softball.
One round of applause for her, please. to the assistant coaches tonight. Again, we want to keep things moving, so we wanted to limit the number of introductions that we were going to do. But you'll recognize many of them and see them throughout the season. Again, we're blessed to have all of them. Our agenda tonight, we've got to cover a few things. We want to discuss our code of conduct, our athletic code, facility use, our chain of communication. We're going to talk about forms and documents. Hopefully we'll all have taken care of before we leave tonight to make sure that all of our student athletes are ready to go for their first day of the season. And we'll hear from our athletic trainer and also from a representative of the Booster Club. And then at the end, we will have some sports-specific meetings, and I'll let you know where those are going to be at as we get to the end. So Mrs. Joel is also available tonight. She's been handing out yearbooks outside in the commons area. She will be available for questions about that also and distribute those after the meeting today. A couple of items, some reminders for incoming freshmen. This will be some new things. We've had some changes, and I know last year Mr. Christina spoke about our different levels of competition. We had a little blip in time there of how we were associating some of those. We will continue to maintain that we have 3 levels of competition here in Cuba City High School. We have our varsity level, which is associated with grades 9 through 12. Our junior varsity level, which can be affiliated with 9th through 11th grade. And then, and this was probably one of the changes we were trying to make, but it just didn't quite mesh with other things, are what we call our freshman level, and can be affiliated with both freshmen and sophomores. So when you hear those different things, maybe from your child or from the coaches, that's to help define that. One of the things that took place last year, in addition to the district, was what's known as Eye in the Sky. And right up there on the wall behind you, there is a camera that we utilize to live stream events that happen here in the gymnasium. We also used this last year out on the football field for football games. And working with the Booster Club, this is a service that is provided free of charge through the website, so that people who can't make events, maybe you've got relatives that would like to come, maybe it's just weather related in the winter, that service is there and you can access that online. It's pretty handy. Having not been growing up in the area, it was nice to let grandparents know that they could watch the kids in different events as they were going through school. Another thing that's new this year is you'll have the ability to pay for certain things in the office through eFunds. There's a link on the school website. You'll be able to utilize that. There is a small service charge with that, but it will be something that you can utilize to pay different funds through the office. Something that's not new, but certainly constantly evolving is social media. And for those of you that are utilizing social media, please keep in mind, we always work with our students and athletes to remind them to be cognizant and aware of what's happening. Anything you put out there is always available and is a record for something. So try to stay positive and goal-oriented when you're posting and responding to different things out there. One of the things in our code book is our eligibility, and one of the confusions that happens constantly is how grade eligibility is determined. As you read through our athletic code and the student handbook, please make sure to note when we talk about eligibility that we base that off of quarter grades. That gets confusing after the second quarter or after the fourth quarter because we also have semester grades at that time. Quarter grades are what determine eligibility for activities and athletics. So please keep that in mind throughout the year. Our athletic code covers a lot of different things, whether it's policies, eligibility, procedures, code of conduct. It is very extensive. It would take me a long time to walk you through all of that. It is available online. If you need a paper copy of that, we can get that to you. Please let me know afterwards. It is the expectation that all of our students go through the student handbook with a parent or guardian and then sign off that you've done that. That way we're all familiar with the policies that we're following and we're on the same page as to what the expectations are. If you have questions about that at any time, especially if it's involving the athletic code, please contact myself. If you check with the coach and didn't get an answer you need, we'll talk more about that here shortly. Our facilities, we're continually working to provide the best facilities that we can. One of the current changes, we're working to update safety and security in our district. In addition to that, we're working to best accommodate the needs, not only of our programs here, but also of the community. We do utilize a service online known as Our School. There's a calendar affiliated with that. And we use that not only to keep track of the different schedules with sports and clubs and practices, but also how our facilities are being used. Please, especially if you're involved in youth sports, pay close attention in the next couple months, especially when there's meetings for volunteer coaches as to how you can find out when there is gym availability. Currently, myself and Mr. Ryan Wooden, the middle school athletic director, are going to be scheduling facility use for the gym for both the round school and the high school here. So direct those inquiries to us. Hopefully we can continue to make that more convenient and more accessible to everybody. One of the other things I mentioned earlier was chain of communication. Having experience as a head coach and as an assistant coach, this is an area of emphasis for me. I think it allows our programs to thrive. It allows our student athletes to be familiar with their role and to start to learn advocacy for themselves. When I talk about our chain of communication, it starts with our head coaches. We ask that each sport has a student or a sport-specific handbook. We like to make those available, whether it's at a players' meeting. Sometimes those happen in the spring. Sometimes they're with the fall season coming. Some have already occurred. Some of them will be happening tonight. Coaches may make those available, whether it's in a hard copy. They may go through it on the first day of practice. They may make them available online. If you're not sure where that's located, please have your child ask if they don't have it. They may already have it in their hands. It may be in the backseat of their car, maybe in their locker or folder. Ask them first. If they don't have any awareness of it, then please reach out to either the office or to one of the coaches for that information. Those sport-specific handbooks do not replace our athletic code. They work cooperatively with it. If there are questions, check there first. If not, then follow that chain of communication that I'm going to go through with you next. If your son or daughter has a question about what is going on in that particular sport, the first thing that should happen is the athlete should communicate with their coach. It's the hardest thing to do. As having grown up and played sports, been involved in activities, having parents that maybe weren't as involved as others, having been a parent here in this community, having been a coach at many different levels, I know it's difficult. It's difficult for most kids, especially when you have to approach somebody who you feel has a position of power over something you're doing. One of the probably biggest goals as a coach is to have students and athletes be comfortable and be trusting enough to approach their coaches with concerns. It's a big step, and it's not always easy, but it is an important one. Please encourage your child to do that first. That should be the first step. Certainly we want them communicating with you, and we want them to involve you in this process, but that step is the first one that should occur. Without that, the coach may not even be aware. The second step, if you feel that your child has done that, then we ask that parents do reach out to coaches. Be familiar with the coaches. Get involved. Try to do it as positively as you can. A lot of times these situations don't come up until somebody perceives a problem. There may not be a problem at all. It may just be miscommunication or lack of communication. That's what we want to identify. We ask that you be cognizant of when you approach a coach about a concern. Coming off the floor or off the field of competition isn't the right time to do that. We do ask that you wait, whether it's a 24-hour rule. Some coaches will ask for that. They'll talk about that with their meetings. Or maybe it's just wait till that next day. In the heat of the moment, as a coach, sometimes it's very tough to shift gears right after a competition. They may share some of the same concerns that you have. They may not have had time to evaluate those just yet. So we ask that you be aware of that. Coming into a practice, a lot of coaches have open policies. They may invite you in. They may say you're welcome to come watch any practice you want. But during that practice or immediately after may not be the best time to get your concern met. Keep that communication as open as possible. Maybe send that email first and ask to set up an appointment. When you do want to meet with a coach, please plan on having your child with. If they're not there, that perspective and that concern may not be getting fully expressed. You and the coach may look at each other and say something, and the coach may be thinking, well, I thought you already knew this. And you may be thinking the same thing through. We want to avoid any misturns that are there. That open communication is necessary. So if you're going to request a meeting with a coach, plan on having your child there with you. If after that you feel that things haven't been met, if maybe things aren't resolved, or maybe there's just still an understanding that's not met, please take that to the next step of contacting myself or Mrs. Olson, the principal. We will help you take any further steps that may be. Maybe we will work to negotiate a time to work together and come to an understanding. Don't expect that we're going to say, no, we'll just change that decision or that rule. Likely we're going to support the coaches in their decisions and try to help you come to an understanding with that. If you still don't feel that you've gotten to what you need, that answer that you need, the last step would be to address Mr. Olson and then through the school board. We hope that things don't ever get to that point. But that is the chain of communication that we need to follow. Athlete to coach, parent and athlete to coach, parent, athlete, coach, activities director, principal, and then to the top of the chain. So please keep those things in mind. What things might they be? Some appropriate concerns that you might address with the coach. Maybe the mental or physical treatment of your child. Certainly that's a legitimate concern and one you can't wait on. Again, please make sure that your child is communicating those thoughts and feelings. Again, it could just be miscommunication. Ways to help your child improve. Those are great things for athletes to communicate with their coaches. What can I do to get better? Concerns about your child's behavior. Maybe something's changed for you and you're not sure. As a coach, I know I appreciate that open communication because maybe I'm seeing something too. Working together, we may be able to help them. Academic issues, maybe some personal issues. Some things not appropriate to discuss with coaches, playing time. It's generally not a negotiable thing. Like I said, we have coaches in place that are very caring, concerned, and experienced. They've spent a lot of time making evaluations. That's what practices are for. That's what scrimmages are for them to make those determinations. As a parent, I know it doesn't always go the way I wanted it to for my son or daughter. but I have to be trusting in that process. And I have to support them through that. Team strategy, play calling, again, those are things we've entrusted our coaches to do. We may not always agree with it. We may not always understand it. But we have to trust that they're in the position they're in for that. Other student athletes, don't come in and say, well, what about this kid? We're not at liberty to discuss that with you as coaches. That's something we have to work with that student, that parent. Each of us has our own unique individual situation, so we can't make decisions in comparison. Keep those things in mind. Our coaches have spent much time, whether it's watching film, making those evaluations to make the best decisions. So a lot of those things aren't negotiable. Yes, we would love to hear your concerns, because it may lead to that question of, well, what can my child do to get better? Hopefully your child has already asked that question before you. And hopefully they've been open with you about it. We've maintained a high quality of athletic and activity achievement here at Cuba City High School, and it's because we've had good people in place. We look to continue that. We're going to trust in their expertise. Get to know them, get comfortable with them, and encourage your son or daughter to do the same. Before you go tonight, we have a lot of things that need to make sure that they're in or that you're aware of before your specific season starts. Some of those things, hopefully you've already taken care of. At the table there with Pam, sports fees. We have a 3-season facility. For your first sports season, activity fees are for $50. For a second sport, $25. For a third sport, $15. That has to be taken care of before participation happens. So if you're starting football tomorrow, you want to make sure to take care of that tonight. There are situations, if those expenses aren't affordable, please stop in the office. Communicate with Julie or Pam. There is a situation, if someone qualifies for free or reduced lunch, fees can be waived. We encourage you, if you're not sure, to fill those out. It is all confidential. It is all discreet. Coaches do not have privy to that information. It is kept in the office. But please do attend to that. It makes a big difference, not only for you, but for the district. So know that is there. Physical forms. We have physical forms, an alternate year form that need to be completed. Generally our freshmen and juniors have to do the physical form. Our sophomores and seniors will do the alternate card. These forms are very specific. They are issued by the WIAA. If you just go to the doctor's office, especially if you're going to Iowa, they may not have these forms on file, and they may fill something out for you that's a physical form, and you bring it in here, and we can't accept it. We'll give you one of these and say, please take this back and have them transfer that information over. So if you haven't done that yet, please make sure that gets taken care of. Again, can't have you participating until these are taken care of. Alternate year cards just require a signature from a parent or guardian. Physical forms require a physician or physician assistant signature. Sorry. Medical emergency forms. These are in triplicate. These are used to provide coaches with emergency information on your son or daughter. First season, they'll pull off one of the sheets. Coaches keep that with them in case when they're traveling, they need to get in touch with you. Be as specific as possible with the information you put on here. If you can't be reached, who do you want contacted? If a coach has to make a decision, keep that in mind. They'll want to know where do you have preference if we're local for a hospital. That information goes on here to share with them. They go to this first to find out if there is need. Signature sheet. This one's important. It covers a lot of different things. You'll note that it has a spot for the student name and signature, and also a parent, guardian name and signature. That sheet is signing off for a couple of reasons. One, to make sure that you've read the literature that is available to you. The athletic code, student handbook, information on concussion protocol. All of those things are available on our website. Again, if you don't have access to that, stop in the office, let me know tonight. We'll make sure that you get a copy of it. That signature sheet is required before participation can happen. So please make sure that those are done. For those of you in football, you want to take that home tonight to make sure that you can read through that and go through it independently. Please make sure to bring it back, not to Coach Kopp tomorrow, but to the office. All those forms need to get turned into the office if they don't get turned in tonight. Office hours tomorrow, Pam. Office hours tomorrow. 7 to probably 5. Coach Kopp practice starts at 4:30. 4:30. So you'll want to have those in probably by 4 o'clock. That way Coach Kopp will know. He'll get a roster and it'll say yes, no, who's eligible, who's not. So please make sure you didn't take care of it tonight. Get it taken care of tomorrow. All right. Our school today, I mentioned that earlier, online. We want to make sure that we're utilizing that as much as possible. You can get notifications to your cell phone, to your email addresses about weather-related changes, scheduling changes. You can have access to all sports schedules on there. There's a convenient area for you to check which sports you would like to be notified of. That way you know of any changes that happen here at the high school. I do believe that the middle school uses that also. So you can do it all at once. There is a link on the school website. There is also an instruction page located with all these other forms. You go to the school website, go to the high school page, go to sports, they'll all be listed there for you. If you have troubles, contact the office, we'll get you in touch with them. All right, we have a few other people tonight that I want to turn the mic over to go over just a few things. The first is our athletic trainer, Miss Tracy Steffen.
As Jason said, I'm Tracy Steffen. I'm contracted out with Southwest Health. I'm fortunate enough to be coming into my 4th year here at Cuba City. So several of you I've had for a few years, so you kind of got some things figured out on how I operate. For the new incoming freshmen and the parents, for myself, aside from Cuba City, I also take care of Shullsburg High School. So once the school year gets rolling, I'm here on a daily basis, always. It's just whether, matter of fact, if I'm here right after school for the first half of the practice, or if I get here in the middle of the practice until the end of the practice and here for any post-practice injury or rehab or whatever that might be. So my hours will always be posted and communicated out to coaches and the student athletes. It'll always be on the Wellness Center door or hung outside of my actual athletic training room door. So student athletes reference that and be familiar with that by any means. So you know that when and where I'll always be here, as well as event coverage for home games and everything that I will be at to cover as well. So that'll always be there. I will always communicate and contact parents if there's any questions or concerns by any means, if there's an injury to your son or daughter, as well as feel free to communicate with me if you're hearing things. I don't always see them or they don't always come to me. By any means, give me the heads up and I'll be sure to see them and take care and let you know what's going on and what the measures are that we need to take. So aside from that, that's what I'll be doing here. Aside from that, the concussions and baseline testing is also something that we utilize and I do here as well. resource and invest in doing impact testing, which has been great. And I know there was a little confusion in communication on the initial football baseline testing, but hopefully we'll get that all squared away. I will be doing freshman football players tomorrow before practice for the first at 3:30 in Miss Joel's room, and then juniors for football on Wednesday at 3:30 before practice. So that's something always, kind of like the physical forms, freshmen and juniors will annually always get tested to keep that up to date and current. And then volleyball as well will be tomorrow morning for the freshmen and juniors who can make it tomorrow morning by 8:15 in Miss Joel's room to get that going. If you're a new incoming student and you haven't been testing here, that's also something that'll also get done. And again, once the school year gets going, some things fall through the cracks. If you're an individual or an athlete that you know you haven't been tested, we'll take care of that and get you tested. The system has come up with a new updated version where once the school year gets started, it's always very difficult to get things isolated for kids to come in and get it tested with myself here. So they have it updated where I can input the student's athlete's email address. So it'll send you a link, simple instructions. You can self-administer the test, and that way we can keep more things updated and in line. So student athletes who are not going to be competing in this fall, be looking for those things come the school year for an email, and you'll be notified ahead of time to be able to administer and do that test so we can be a little bit more current on that. So other than that, I look forward to working with you all and have a great season.
Thank you, Tracy. Next, we have a representative of our booster club. For you incoming parents, just so everyone knows, as a parent of a student athlete, you are a part of the booster club. And we have an outstanding booster club. Today, with a little information for you, is our current president, Scott Wright.
Thanks. Our booster club officers for this upcoming year is Kristen Miller, is our vice president and concession stand coordinator. Our treasurer is Molly and Gooch Lucy, and our secretary is Connie Wright, my wife. So we're pretty proud as a booster club. In the last handful of years, we've made improvements in excess of $250,000 to facilities, which is our goal, is to raise funds to improve facilities here at Cuba City. To give you some idea of where some of those funds go to, $75,000 was recently spent on a new baseball field. I think Coach Graver will tell you, we went from one of the not so nice facilities in this fall to probably one of the nicest facilities of a baseball field. Softball, we spent $5,000 on improved equipment for Coach Sturts. If you Splinter Park, we put new netting up there, new iPad for the volleyball team, coaches, communication headsets for Coach Kopp, $25,000 in hurdles, $20,000 for high jump mats. The list goes on and on. Improvements to the concession stand. It's quite extensive. We raise those funds two primary ways. Number one is for our auction. You'll see some information on that. Joe and Holly Niles, Joe and Jesse Vosberg is in charge of that. They do a great job. You want to help with that, reach out to them or let me know, and I can certainly put you in touch with them. The biggest way that I need your help, though, is, as Coach Holzmer said, the expectation is if you have a student athlete in Cuba City schools, is that you work one concession stand per event that your child is in, per sport. So if you have somebody in football and basketball, we would ask that you work two concession stands. We do not expect you to work a concession stand of the night that your youth is participating. If you have somebody in football, do a basketball or a volleyball concession stand. Those rules have changed. It used to be, we used to, as a booster club, be able to reach out to you and ask you for help anymore due to some state and some privacy issues. We are not able to do that any longer. So what you receive is a group email through Cuba City School District. So you'll receive a Google Doc a handful of times throughout the year with a sign-up sheet. Actually, Kristen has the sign-up sheets tonight for football and volleyball. If you'd like to sign up, that would be great. If you receive the Google Doc and you say, I don't know how to open this, I'm having problems, reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to help you with that. But the expectation is that you work one of those concession stands. It's not rocket science, folks, and it seems like we're always pushing to try to get help. If we all do our fair share, we have more than enough people. All right, so that list will be coming. Look for that Google Doc in and sign up for one. If you have some time and would like to sign up for more than one, or at least be on our list of people to help, in case we need help along the way, which there gets to be times where people get sick or we're short, let us know. And one last thing is Action. We started Action a few years ago as a booster club. You see the yellow shirts. Action is an acronym for Athletes Committed to Improving Our Neighborhood. Athletes in Cuba City School District does so much to help our community. What we ask as a student athlete, when you're out in our community volunteering for your church, for the school, for the city, wear an Action shirt. You can buy these for $10. And it makes the community aware that you're a student athlete here at Cuba City. You will also see throughout the course of the year there is a committee of an action committee that's been formed from community people, and we will be choosing a handful of action athletes of the month throughout the year of that special group of people that go above and beyond in stewardship in our community. If you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards to ask if you have any help. We're looking forward to another great year.
All right, you guys are doing a wonderful job. One final word, I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Mr. Aaron Olson.
Thank you. It's been said that it takes a village to raise a child. And the same can be said, it takes a village to raise a championship team. And that's what our coaches spend so much time trying to develop. Our coaches, if you talk to all of them, their goal every year is to max out with the available talent of the kids that come to them at the beginning of the season. They identify, with this group, what can we do? Then they try to figure out what role does every kid have to play. That's their job as coaches. The community involves you as parents. And I'm not from Cuba City, so when I came here, you got people that are from here probably don't think this is a big deal, but when we talk about sports with a lot of parents, it's like we're back in the 80s in this way. If somebody says, well, my kid isn't playing, the average Cuba City parent is going to say, well, they should work harder. If they're not happy with their role, they should get better and have a better role. That's not common a lot of places. A lot of things aren't common that are common here in Cuba City aren't common elsewhere. That hallway, we came from a school that had one of those gold balls. So Cuba City people here just do things differently. Parents, you have expectations for your kids at how hard they're going to work in the off season. That benefits the coaches. The coaches have expectations for the off season, but when it comes time for in season, that's their goal. How do I max out with the talent that I have? Part of that community is also the kids that are sitting here. The kids put in a lot of work. They do a lot of different things. They work on their own. They work with their team. They work in the weight room. Some of them have trainers, and they do all these different things because it's fun. And parents, thank you for providing all those opportunities for our kids. Because sports are meant to be fun. But you get to the high school level, what fun means is we're going to outwork the other team, we're going to outperform the other team, and we're going to beat the other team. And that's something that I really admire about the Cuba City School District, Cuba City coaching staff, Cuba City kids, and the Cuba City community. So I appreciate that. Hope all of you enjoy the season. Kids, thanks for all the work that you do, and coaches, thanks for all the work that you put into allowing our kids to be successful.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Olson. Couple of things. If you did not get registered, you can take care of that on your way out. Any fees, don't forget those signature sheets. We will also be having sports-specific meetings, and here's where they will be at. Our football meeting will be here in the gym. We will have the volleyball team up in the library. Cross country will be out in the cafeteria. And girls golf up in the teacher's lounge. So, at this time, please feel free to take care of those things. We will be hanging out in here and